So we're here with Desiree Rumbaugh, and we have some Rasa questions for you, as well as some other personal questions. And thank you, first of all, for being here at Rasa and Ashland Yoga Center. It has been such a pleasure and an honor. So how did you find yoga, or how did it find you?
Wow, that's a great way to put it. Actually, I was a dancer and dance major, and like since the age of 3, performing and studying dance, and I just loved it. But then I started teaching aerobics in the 80s. That's what dancers do after they have babies. So then I was teaching like low impact aerobics, and I went to a convention at the LA Convention Center, and there was one yoga class, and I just had to try it because I was so curious, and I loved it. I thought, if this is a way to teach people, I think I'm more interested in this, because these poses are so fun and interesting. So that's how it came to me.
Okay. Do you have a favorite and not so favorite pose or family of poses?
Actually, I like all poses.
Really?
Weird, yeah. My favorite poses are hip openers. Because like Janushirasana, those really juicy hip openers, and Ardha Matsyendrasana, once I get my hips open, I feel like I can do anything.
Do you flit and float into different families of poses in different times of the year and
Yeah.
different parts of your life?
Yeah, but mostly it's like just, it varies with the moment as I'm practicing, and I'll be doing like a whole sun salutation flow with standing pose, and I'll think I need to open my hips. So I'll sit down and do my hip openers, or I kind of follow the flow of my heart. But yeah, it's really fun to practice.
Can you share what your personal asana practice looks like?
My crazy flow practice. Well, I do decide before I'm going to practice what I need that day. Like some days I might just need really long inversions, like 10 minutes on a headstand and 15 minutes on a shoulder stand. That's about 30 minutes upside down almost total. And it's really refreshing and rejuvenating. And some days I might decide I need to do my back bends. It's been a while. Or I might just need to really work on hip openers and arm balances. So I kind of feel by how long it's been since I've done something and what I need. And I'll spend anywhere from 1 to 2 hours usually. Longer if possible. Crazy, but
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. What book, text, movie, song has moved you recently?
I just finished reading Tara Brach's Radical Acceptance.
Okay.
It's a Buddhist teaching about how if we really radically accept ourselves, that means even the stuff we don't like to admit about ourselves or we aren't really crazy about, we'll break through. Because so often we're trying to push away our bad habits or the parts of ourselves that we don't embrace, and they just remain. So her theory is that you got to accept that about yourself and about everybody else. Change cannot happen until you come into a state of acceptance.
Nice. So, in Sanskrit, rasa is interpreted as taste, sap, nectar. How do you manifest the rasa in your life? Do you have any words of wisdom for students who might find themselves stuck or stagnant and not able to experience rasa?
All work and no play makes people really dull. So yeah, and I can, believe it or not, even I, as a yoga teacher who wears tie-dyed clothes, crazy hair, can get all work and no play. So I think the play part of life, the joy, the thing that you love to do, your passion has to be brought in on a regular basis. So recently I just went back in my childhood and I thought, what am I missing doing? I miss playing the piano. And I'm not really good at it because I stopped at about the age of 12. But so I bought a keyboard and I bought all my favorite like big note piano music, and I'm sitting at home just playing away. It doesn't sound very good, but it makes me remember something that I loved in my life once, and I'm bringing it back.
That's great. So perhaps converse to the concept of rasa, it might be the human experience of fear. How do you see this showing up in a practice on the mat and off, and any advice on ways to move through it?
Well, fear comes up all the time in asana practice when people are trying something new for the first time, or if they have pain in their body. We're all so protective of that, and so aligning with the universal principles has really helped me break through that fear. Like once I align, I don't feel the fear anymore. I feel safe, but without knowing how to align with life, we could call it, or my divine higher nature, I would feel separate and afraid. So there's like a physical learning that helps us emotionally that I find very valuable with the style of yoga that I teach.
What is the silliest or outrageous thing you've done that people who know you might consider totally out of character?
I wish I could name one. But the thing about me, Marianne, is that I'm silly and outrageous all the time. So I think if I ever became serious and didn't crack a joke in my workshops, then people would think that was out of line.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could teach to an entire country of people, what would be the one thing you want to leave them with?
That the reason we're here, the purpose of life, is to enjoy and to learn. So you're either enjoying or you're learning something. If we could look at it and see it that way, we'd have a much more pleasant life.
Beautiful. So that's our Rasa question. So we've just got a few more personal questions, if you don't mind, Desiree.
Okay.
So you've had some tragedy in your life, and would you be so kind as to just describe how you got through it? Did your practice help you? Did you find a new relationship to yoga through it? And can you provide any words of encouragement for those who are currently in a place of darkness, emptiness, or struggle?
Yes. Well, what happened is in 2003, October, my 20-year-old son, my eldest, was murdered on a camping trip while he was with his girlfriend. Both of them were shot. So yeah, that was tragic and sudden and really devastating for me and my family. And luckily for me, I had yoga already in my life. I didn't have to go start it from there. So I already had the power, the healing power of yoga. Physically, I'd experienced this, so now I got to put it to the test. So the great thing about that was I at least knew how to make myself physically feel better, even though emotionally I was a basket case for several years afterwards. But at least I could get on the mat and get a relief in my neck, shoulders, back, knees, whatever, and lift up my state of being temporarily.
Right.
And I just kept doing that steadily every day. I kept trying to find a little bit of better feeling, something. But it took a long time of that.
Yeah.
Finally, then I started to be able to taste joy again. You know, a lot of people who are sad, that was a true loss. Like, that's a tragedy. It's okay to grieve. That's what I would like to say to people. In fact, you have to grieve in order to honor the love. And then after you grieve that fully and honor the loving kindness, you can start to let go of that and come back into joy again. So I was so afraid I would never be fully happy again. But I wanted it, you see. So you go after what you want. I want to be happy again, but I want to be authentically happy. So I had to come into a state of acceptance. The same thing, radical acceptance, this book, of the loss before I could ever be happy. And at first, as a mother, you're fighting that truth. You're just arguing with reality, you know, which is fatal.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and also I want to say this. A lot of people came to help me. A lot of other people, oh my gosh, at that time, you know, the war had just started in 2003. So I'd be teaching at my studio, and like a man would walk in who lost his son, one of the Marines that was first grounded Marines that were killed, with flowers, saying, I read about your son in the paper, I want you to have these flowers because I just lost my son. So even strangers will reach out to people who are in tragedy if they open up. I was really open about my story, and I got a lot of support. So that's what I call grace, is that we're not alone. There's lots of people at any time going through things, and if we just reach out, they'll reach back and we'll be supported.
Thank you for sharing. So for those who are newer to Anusara, what would you say is the biggest draw for you personally to this lineage of yoga?
Well, as a practitioner, I was able to really solve a lot of mysteries for myself. I was able to overcome a lot of fear, as I said before, repair a lot of injuries, and make big breakthroughs as a cause. So I'm like celebrating this joy of what John Friend calls aligning with your highest nature. So when I met him, I had no idea what my highest nature meant. Like, I knew it, like, in my head intellectually, but I didn't have a feeling for that. And now I do. I understand when I'm aligned with the highest. The other part of it is I get to teach that to other people. And that is so satisfying. I get to take this person who might be afraid, and I, with confidence, can show them another way to look at themselves. And then they see it, and then they too can share that. On it goes. It's like this ripple effect. I'm really proud to be affiliated with that style. Yes.
That's great. So last question, it's a personal one of mine. I continue to work with boundaries, how to say no, how to manage and prioritize my time, how to balance professional life with personal life, and the list goes on. How do you do it, given your career, family, and personal needs?
Well, I think that all of us need to learn that it's okay to be self-centered in this way, or selfish, as some people call it, because, and I say capital S, like, that's my most important relationship, is my connection to my higher self. So if I'm giving away my time to too many other people and there's no time to take care of my needs and to nurture myself in that way, then I'm not going to be able to do anything, much less help them. So I think that is something that everybody, yoga teachers, but everybody will be better off once they get over that feeling that it's wrong to put themselves first. You'll actually have more energy and be more loving and serving if you do that. It's a crazy paradox.
Right.
But I think we eventually have to learn that the
Yeah.
hard way if necessary.
Yeah. Thank you, Desiree. We appreciate it. We honor you. We respect you. Thank you.
Thank you.